Hello everybody and welcome to the Republic of Play podcast, brand new podcast with myself Darren as host and my good friend Toby.
Hello.
So I thought it'd be good to introduce the podcast and kind of answer the question, why are we doing one? Because that is something that actually cropped up quite a bit. And it's just something that I've wanted to do for a while. I stream on Twitch and make videos on YouTube, so hopefully people know me from there. But a lot of people just ask me like random questions, you know, like, oh, what do you think of this? And what do you think of this? All these like random opinions on stuff. So I thought it would just make sense to have an outlet for that where I'm not trailing off and derailing on a stream about some other game about random topics and games. And me and you go way back. We used to play games quite a bit.
Yeah, we've had our own podcast before as well.
Yeah, that's true.
We can talk about
we
that,
don't talk about that. But yeah, maybe actually people might be interested to know that, like, yeah, we did make videos together actually on the road to Rome, the release to Total War Rome 2 back in obviously 2013 now, so it's quite a long time ago. And we found some moderate success with that. We had like thousands of views on those videos, which is crazy for our channel at the time.
It was, yeah. And yeah, Road to Rome, we had Minecraft, we had a few other internet hits at the time.
Yeah. I mean, Minecraft had never been done before at the time. But yeah, no, we had some relative good success, and we planned on continuing that with Rome 2, but unfortunately the game just shit the bed. And you actually just like left. You were like, I can't deal with this.
It was terrible. I can't handle it.
I stuck with it, yeah. Because I bought a PC for like a lot of money at the time, for me anyway. My first job, I bought a PC, super anticipating it, couldn't wait. It looked awesome, if you remember. It looked awesome, and then it just came out and shit the bed. We did a co-op campaign as Athens and Sparta, and we were like ending turns, and then like 20 minutes later, the game would, anyway, it was terrible. It was a mess.
I mean, let's put it this way, my current iPad's version of Rome Total War 1 is way better than Rome 2 on PC, like way better. So
that kind of, that's where our career ended as a duo, because you were like, hey, I'm done with this game, I'm off this.
I'll see you later.
And I kind of just stuck with it and continued on. I was like, I'm going to make my own channel and complain about it. And that led to me eventually getting hired and then leaving in a fit of rage.
Fired. Who's that? Everything.
Not fired.
Not fired.
People think I was fired. I wasn't. I swear. I just left. So obviously, I thought it'd be good to start up a podcast again with Toby, just because we used to play games a lot. It's a nice excuse for me to come up here and meet up with you every couple of weeks. It's going to be a bi-weekly podcast. It'll be uploaded on YouTube. That's probably where people are probably listening to it the first time. And then it should go up on iTunes as well. I've submitted it for, it's under review for submission, so that should work. And we'll link it around as best as we can.
Yeah, we tend to have some strong opinions on games. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this about me, Toby, but I'm quite opinionated. So the format of the show, I think it's just good to establish that at the beginning, is essentially I want it to be a general PC gaming podcast. So it's not just specifically strategy like my YouTube channel mostly is. It's going to be just general, wider audience PC gaming kind of stuff, where we kind of cover the biggest topics in gaming at the time and just talk about what we're playing. Just have feel-good vibes.
Sounds good.
And I don't know, just have a little bit more positivity as well. I'm considered quite negative. And I hate that reputation, because I really feel like I try to give equal amounts of attention to good stuff and bad stuff. And I mean, if we have to shit on a game here, if it's really bad or something, then obviously we'll talk about it. But I mean, generally, I'd like to talk about the things that we're enjoying.
Yeah, I mean, as one of your best friends, I have seen probably 2, maybe 3 of your videos, and they have all been very negative. So, see what we can do.
So, anyway, that's pretty much it. So let's just get into it. So we have our new segment is the first segment we're going to do. Oh, actually, before we start, the show is supported on Patreon. And that's actually, the goal was to get 100 patrons, and then I'd commit to doing a podcast. I don't think anyone really cared about what the goal was, but eventually we did get 100 patrons, and the show is going to release there early, one day early for everyone on Patreon, and then one day later for everybody else. So this should go up on Monday, and Mondays every 2 weeks. Hopefully, if we manage to keep a schedule, we'll see how that goes. And then, one day early for patrons, then everyone else on YouTube, iTunes, etc. For everybody else. So
I don't know if we have to declare for some sort of legal thing that I'm a patron as well, and now I'm in the hot seat. So
this is super awkward. I thought you might bring this up. Your card was declined like a year and a half ago.
Oh no!
So you haven't been a patron in a year and a half. But I could never tell you.
That is so awkward. I was so sure.
No, I think it went for like 3 or 4 months, and then I don't track everyone individually, but recently I was going through the list because I have to make the credits for videos. And I saw your name in there, and I was like, "Oh, you became a patron again." I looked, and it was like declined late 20.
Oh my god,
like early 2018 or something.
I've literally been wandering around thinking I was part of the Rome Champions Club, but unfortunately.
But yeah, I don't know why that is. It doesn't really notify people about that. I mean, sometimes it does apparently, but I think for 10% of people every month, cards decline.
I mean, I was so awkward. I couldn't just stop being a patron. I had to literally close my bank account down to stop my patronage.
Well, it worked. Yeah, so we'll start off by going over the news. So we got some topics. It is January, so there's obviously not much crazy news going on right now in terms of gaming. Most people are just putting out top 10 lists, games of the decade, and all that stuff. Maybe I'll ask you what your game of the decade is at the end of the episode, if you can think about it for the duration.
I'll mull it over.
So yeah, we'll just get into we've got 5 pieces of news here. Actually, I think it's like 10 pieces, but 5 of them are really quick fire ones, and then 5 that are kind of a bit more in depth. So we'll just kick it off with a story that came out just earlier on in the week, which is Alienware made a prototype portable PC that looks like a giant Nintendo Switch. And I got this from PC Gamer. And then it basically reads, summary would be, at CES 2020, Alienware revealed a concept UFO. It's a handheld Windows 10 gaming PC that sort of looks like a Nintendo Switch, complete with retractable side-mounted controllers. There's a basic handheld mode, controllers detached mode, and then a docked mode, just like the Switch. In its current format, it's an 8-inch screen, slightly bigger than the Switch's 6.2-inch. No details as of yet on battery life or pricing. It is just a concept at this point. I don't know if you actually looked at the article or saw the picture of it. Did you? Did you manage to see
I saw the picture. I saw the mock-up.
Basically, just looks like a big Switch.
Yeah. So to me, this is just the next generation from the Nvidia Shield, or the Shield, isn't it? From those guys, basically. That's what it seems to be. That's what it's like, that sort of thing. Kind of.
Would you be in the market for this kind of thing? Do you think? Because you have a Switch. Well, I don't have one.
We can depend, but I mean, I think we all know what Alienware's reputation is like for quality, price, value, all this sort of stuff. Compared to Nintendo's, we've got one of the best reputations for build quality, for value to the consumer, all that sort of stuff. And Alienware's a complete other end of the spectrum. But they've got access to some of the best kit out there. So.
But do you think that's something you'd actually do? Would you want to play like high-end PC games on the go?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the reasons why I bought the Switch. And obviously that's not the same. But arguably, if you play something like Breath of the Wild, which shockingly you haven't played for some reason, but something like that, it looks like even on Switch that looks like a mid-range PC game. To be honest, I think there's always going to be a demand for something like that. It's just, can they beat Nintendo at their own games? We know Nintendo are going to be. That's with the hit of the Switch. We know that's what they're going to be working on right now as well as the next version of that. So
I think it's quite interesting. I just thought of it as well as an idea for just a way to get your PC games on a big screen. Because you could just dock your UFO, whatever they're going to call it. You could just dock your UFO at a TV, and then it's just like the Steam Link, but they don't make the Steam Link anymore. No. That would be a pretty handy way of doing it if you could just like slot something into the to a dock that's at your TV and then just play PC games on TV.
Then at the moment, obviously, what understanding of what you're saying is you can just plug in you can use TV as a monitor at the moment, can't you? Obviously, I know it's more clunky.
You can, but you need to have like a big cable run, I guess, out. And you'd need a mouse and keyboard, but this would have its own controllers, right? So it's got controller support for all these PC games. So I guess that would be the idea.
Yeah, I mean, personally, if I'm sure the form factor would be good because it's anyway. The form factor will be cool and cutting edge. I'm sure it'll be well developed on that front. But and I think there's definitely a market for this sort of thing, as the ridiculous sales of the Switch showed us. Even that's more low end, but whether they can do it better and at a better price point. And
what do you think the price point would be? I know it's complete speculation, but it would have to be
a lot. It's Alienware, so it's going to be expensive. We're talking, $1,500 upwards, $1,500 upwards.
Even in its concept, there was this massive fan on the back of it as well. You can imagine it's like quite a powerful little thing.
Exactly. There's probably going to be various different versions, probably starting at $1,500, that sort of area upwards, compared to a Switch starting at what was it, $350 or whatever it was when that came
I guess
out.
You got to compare it to like a slick gaming laptop, really.
Yeah, you do,
for price.
It's sort of the same sort of price you're paying there as well. And I mean, Alienware laptops are starting at £1,800 or whatever it is. So, point. I mean, I'm interested, but I don't have much high hopes, to be honest.
Right, so number 2, Escape from Tarkov Dev says the military shooter will not be getting playable female characters. This came by way of their Twitter account, and then also from PC Gamer, they wrote, due to the game's current popularity on Twitch, a 2016 interview with WCCF Tech has resurfaced where a representative of Escape from Tarkov explains the developer's decision to not have playable characters is that, quote, women can't handle that amount of stress, end quote, and that the battlefield of Escape from Tarkov was a place for only for, quote, hardened men, end quote. Battlestate Games has addressed these comments in a Twitter statement, explaining that the comments were made, that when they were made a couple of years ago, were misinterpreted, and that the employee was subsequently reprimanded. Battlestate then followed up with 2 more tweets, explaining that it still stands by the decision of not including female characters due to lore and animation reasons. Quote, first, there are women in EFT already, the trader, some future key storyline quests, and we'll have women as main characters, but there will be no playable female characters because of game lore and, more importantly, the huge amount of work needed with animations, gear fitting, etc. End quote. And that's pretty much where the tweets ended.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of that? I mean, that's quite a... Oh, the first part obviously is pretty rough.
I mean, firstly, I think there's
for those who don't know, Toby is an extremely far right leaning Boris Bojo backer.
This is a complete lie, brother. This is a complete lie. But yeah, I think there's no way in hell that those comments were not a joke when they were made. They must have been. Obviously, I haven't seen the clip or whatever it was.
Women can't handle that amount of stress.
But surely that was a joke. The guy said it as a game developer. He's not a frontline soldier himself. I mean,
no.
So I find it. I'd be 99% sure they're a joke that have been subsequently,
They did say it was misinterpreted.
Yeah, and obviously it's still a ridiculous thing to say, but I personally reckon he was making a joke and he took it too far. I don't know where to start this stuff. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? But I can completely understand the company not wanting to commit to more work for essentially an arbitrary reason in a game like this.
So I've been playing the game recently again. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But the amount of not just weapons, but armor and clothing that you can fit to your body. I can imagine. I saw some people saying like, oh, well, couldn't they just have like the male's body but just like a female head and just have everything just work? I guess you could, right? I mean, but they're like real attention to detail, realistic, hardcore milsim. So I do feel like they would want like separate skeletal animations, I guess, for female characters or smaller characters or bigger characters.
I mean, that seems like it would be the opposite. That would just please no one. What it would just doing it badly is
exactly.
That's
So
scenario.
It would look weird. Yeah, I think.
But to me, it just seems like I said you may have a different take than me. You played a lot more than me, but to me, it's not an RPG. It's not a game where it really matters beyond elements what your character looks like is motivated by. Any of this sort of stuff. It's irrelevant. It's not a game where you're going to struggle. An example, if there were only women models, I don't think you'd have many men going, I'm struggling to play the game because I'm a woman, and it's a different mindset. I think it's kind of pointless for them to shoehorn it in at this point for more or less no reason.
What do you think of the whole conversation surrounding that kind of thing? Do you feel like when you play a game that you need to have yourself represented?
I think it completely depends on the game. If there's a lot of good RPG stuff where I think fantastic, it's great. There's something like Fallout 4, as much of a car crash as that game is on nearly every other respect. They've implemented the whole two genders thing very, very well in that, in that with completely whole new voice arcs, all this stuff. Another one, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, once again, completely, you can choose either gender at the beginning. They're both really well fleshed out. I think most people actually think that they, I've forgotten what her name is, but the female character, the female character is actually the better voice actor. I played it, so I thought she was the better voice actor, the better story.
Yeah,
and all
most
that sort
people
of stuff.
seem to agree with that.
But in other games, I think it's completely irrelevant. I think it's arbitrary. A game like this is, as I said, as a milsim, it's completely, it's completely pointless. Is my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree. I mean, it's easy to say like I don't care about it because I guess there is a male in it, but I actually don't think if I was playing as a female I would care. You're in first person. You don't really look at your character too often. You do see it in the menu, I guess, but it's not that important for me anyway.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I can understand.
And it kind of bothers me a little bit that people even bring it up for a game like that.
Absolutely.
Whereas I think it is more relevant for RPGs where you're role playing a little bit more, and maybe even there's a case to be made for Grand Theft Auto has been around for so long. There's never been a female playable lead.
Yeah.
But I always think if they can just if it's what their vision was at the time and their story, then I'm happy for it to be whatever it is. They had a gay guy in one of the DLCs or whatever, and it fit the story. It didn't feel like they were pressured to do that. It just made sense for what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, there is too much. People up in arms about this sort of stuff these days. When there are so many good female protagonists in gaming, I don't think there's any need to shoehorn them in a game like this. If it's an RPG where you're going to spend 200 hours looking at the back of them and it can be customized however you like, then it's fantastic to have both options. But otherwise, enjoy the fact there's a strong female or male protagonist in whatever scenario and take it from there.
Yeah. All right, so we can move on to number 3.
So this, I know nothing about this one, so I'm interested to hear about this.
I know quite little about it.
Great, this is going to be a good thing.
I've done some research. So Steam is making big changes to the way it handles game soundtracks. Now, it's a minor story in the first place anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But Steam now supports the purchasing of soundtracks independent of their games, at least for new releases. No longer will soundtracks be listed as DLC. So this is only a problem because I guess if you were buying a game, if you wanted to get a soundtrack as a pre-order bonus or something like that, it had to be considered DLC. You couldn't just buy the soundtrack separate of the game. You might have had the game, for instance, on another platform or something. You just wanted to get the soundtrack. I don't know who or why this happens, but it does happen, I guess. And there was no avenue for you to do that. You'd have to buy the game. You can't buy DLC without a game.
Yeah.
So For the briefing, BC Gamer listed some bullet points about Steam's blog post. Customers can now purchase soundtracks without purchasing the base game. Customers can now download soundtracks without downloading the base game. Customers can browse and manage their own and downloaded soundtracks directly from the new Steam library, and customers can configure a Steam music directory where all soundtrack content will be placed, rather than having to locate it in subdirectories of game content. Developers can upload and manage soundtrack content entirely through the partner site, and they can sell soundtracks where the base game itself is not available for sale anymore on Steam. So, I mean, there's no hot takes for this or anything.
I mean, I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with that. It seems like an incremental upgrade. It seems like you've now got, your own independent library for OST and soundtracks, which is good.
Yeah. Are you a fan of game soundtracks? Do you listen to them on Spotify or anything like that?
I don't. Well, actually, to be fair, the some I do. There are the occasional songs will grab me, and I will go and because I mean, you know straight away as soon as you pick up it, there's going to be the version on Spotify. It's going to be there straight away. And there are a few, but I'm not someone that goes and listens to whole, soundtrack albums or anything like that. It's never really been my thing personally. But
yeah, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. It seems like a decent little upgrade side thing. It's weird though. Some games do it a bit differently as well. I know Paradox games typically just have a soundtrack folder in the game directory, and then you can just copy the files yourself. They let you do it. So I feel like some developers have already figured out a workaround. But it's nice that I guess it has proper functionality. Number 4. The Respawn boss, Vince Zampella, is taking over DICE LA to head up work on a new game. Vince Zampella, co-founder of Apex Legends and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, developed... there's a bit of an error in the text there. Developer Respawn Entertainment. Oh yeah, I see. Vince Zampella, co-founder of Apex Legends and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, will head up EA DICE's LA-based studio, the Los Angeles Times reports. The reason we're laughing is because I fucked it up saying it like 3 or 4 times because there's an error, a text error. Anyway, my bad. Under Zampella's leadership, EA plans to expand the outfit and have it release an original game. Quote, we will probably rebrand, unquote, Zampella says. Quote, we want to give it a new image. We want people to say this is a destination you can go to and make new content. I think they've gotten the branding that they are the support studio for DICE Stockholm, and they want to change that. I think rebranding is important for showing people, hey, come work here. We're going to do some amazing things. Yeah, I don't know why I struggle so hard to read that. But so essentially, Vince Zampella of Call of Duty Infinity Ward fame and now Apex Legends and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, got a pretty good track record.
Yep.
He's still going to be the CEO of Respawn, but now he's taking over DICE LA. He's going to rebrand it, and they're going to work on their own stuff instead of being more of a support studio. So there's not much else to go on other than that. I guess kind of one of the questions at the moment is, will it be a Star Wars game? Will it be a first-person game? Vince Zampella, known for FPS, so you could imagine probably going to be some sort of FPS game that they're going to be working on. Although it could be a Star Wars game, it could be both.
I mean, yeah, sounds good news to me. I mean, DICE obviously is in a bit of a rough spot at the moment. It seems like, they've fallen down from their high horse that they were on a few years ago. I mean, there seems to be nothing but negatives about Battlefield and things like that at the moment. That seems to be a complete car crash in the community currently. Unlike obviously Respawn, who are on a massive high. Apex Legends, Star Wars Fallen Order, which is absolutely fantastic. I really loved it. Titanfall 1 and 2, obviously both fantastic. So, we don't know what DICE LA have been working on, but it sounds like obviously just some, probably maybe some multiplayer aspects or whatever they've been doing for main DICE. So, it's good to see some more stuff out of him, to be honest, and the more stuff he's managing, if it's maintaining the sort of the Respawn Entertainment quality, then...
Yeah, I mean, Respawn are on such a great upswing. I completely forgot about Titanfall 1 and 2, because I just think of Apex Legends, which is then sort of like a spin-off of Titanfall. Yeah. Originally, it was meant to be anyway. And yeah, I mean, I look forward to seeing what they're working on, because they seem to be a quality studio. And then I guess, with DICE LA under Vince Zampella now, it should be interesting to see what they're going to do.
Have you played Fallen Order out of interest?
Nope.
No.
Yeah, I was going to say, so 2 of their games are in for the running of... Game of the year for a lot of people. So there's Jedi Fallen Order. What was the other one? Apex Legends. Some people said that as well. Yeah, so 2 really high quality games. It's actually amazing that, considering the studio size, that they were able to put out like such a big AAA game like the Jedi Fallen Order, and then also Apex Legends.
Also, Fallen Order, I think you probably weren't following that much. You may not have been, but I wasn't. It was expected. Nothing good was expected of it, to be honest. It looked
that's why I didn't get it.
All the teasers that were released, it looked it looked nice, but it looked very generic, not interesting at all. And I think there was very little hype from it from that respect. But then after release, it was absolutely phenomenal. It's a fantastic game. It's basically a Dark Souls. I hate to use that phrase; it's so cliche, but a Dark Souls-esque game. Set in the Star Wars universe. They've confirmed it's all canon. So if you're a Star Wars nerd, it adds a lot of background there and a lot of interesting stuff all around, like Order 66 and all that sort of stuff. And generally, it's a fantastic game. Probably one of the best looking games released, ever really, and it's a great game.
Yeah,
great play.
I remember seeing it at E3, and it did look super generic and super bland. Like that's where they had that 10-minute gameplay. Just walking around. and like super generic enemies and fights. So they seem to not show off that game really well. It's like I still haven't actually looked into it because I know I'll get it eventually. I just haven't. I don't want to spoil anything for myself, but I know that you visit multiple planets, you can go back and forth and things like that. And stuff.
So it's you know, it's not quite free roam or open world. That'd be a push, but it's very broad, as in you can visit planets in a, you know, there's 5 planets or so. You can visit them in whatever order you choose. Obviously, only some parts only unlock at different times, all this sort of stuff. But it's not linear. But yeah, it's brilliant. I think all the reviews have been, you know, 90s plus, I think, for it, and it kind of came out of nowhere and was fantastic.
Did you finish it?
Yeah, I finished it. It's absolutely brilliant. I finished it in more or less. It's not
DLC,
the longest game. It's fairly short. It's probably, you know.
Did it set itself up for like DLC or anything? Do you know?
Yeah, I did. I think that there'll definitely be. I don't know if they're going to do DLC. They haven't said anything about DLC yet, and it's been 6-8 months or whatever it's been.
Yeah, a few months.
But there'll definitely be a second one. I'd be very surprised just on the goodwill of this. And if they made that game, you know, added.
On the topic of Star Wars, have you been watching The Mandalorian?
I haven't watched The Mandalorian. I have just seen the new movie. I saw that over Christmas. The last Star Wars movie in the, you know, in this thing.
Toby did quotation marks.
Yeah, in quotation marks, because I mean there'll be more obviously, but that's supposed to wrap up the entire story arc that started 30 years ago. That's supposed to be the end, or 40 years ago. That's the end of it.
Rogue One, best Star Wars.
Rogue One was very not ever.
Yeah.
Well, no, obviously not. That's definitely madness. That's
definitely.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
Best Star Wars.
I mean, you know, the original.
Speaking of Star Wars, and then again, and Respawn.
Yep.
People have said like Star Wars Battlefront 2 has like come a long way and it's apparently way better now. So
I played it.
I played it a little bit. I still don't like that star card system progression thing.
Me neither.
But I mean, they have apparently turned the game around for like quite a lot of people who do play it, and you know they've definitely turned the negative. They've gotten goodwill on their side now with players, I think, for that as well.
I mean, I was never the biggest fan of the way they've done it. I mean, people like it, but I still never like the fact that obviously I played Battlefront 1 and 2, you know, the originals to death, a lot. And I didn't like the fact the new one is so reliant on, you know, the heroes, the hero ships, the heroes, all that stuff. Because they come on, you know, they get 25 kills as Darth Vader or whatever, and it just, although that's completely lore friendly and it makes complete sense, of course Darth Vader's going to do that to you. It pulls you out of the game. I think, you know, back in the originals, when, you know, the best you could be was a slightly better version of the basic, you know, the basic clone trooper or the basic stormtrooper, whatever.
Well, there was heroes in the old ones as well, wasn't there? You could play as Darth Vader.
I can't remember, but if they were nowhere near.
I think it was only in 2, not in 1.
Maybe because they obviously weren't as dominant as they were. I don't think any were, because all I know is I find it way more noticeable now. Whatever it is, I find it a lot more noticeable than newer ones. But it definitely is better than release.
Just get good.
I know that is always the solution.
But yeah, no, I agree. I didn't really like the fact that like you're building up points and then you spend them and you just have these heroes and stuff. I kind of agree. I wish it was more like, I also kind of, no one probably really asked for this, but I kind of wanted it to be just first person, just like a Battlefield in Star Wars.
Yeah.
The fact that third person is the thing, you just see people like rolling around all the time to dodge shots and then peeking corners. It's a little frustrating.
I don't know if you remember this, but anyone listening, if anyone is listening, you know,
millions of people are listening.
Millions of people listening. Anyone who played the original, I think it was Battlefront 2, and they had the Galactic Conquest mode, which was the best mode ever. Where you took over planets across the galaxy. You could choose resources, different places. You know, if you captured one area that produced, you know, vehicles, you'd have vehicles in the next thing, and all this sort of stuff. I mean, that game set, you know, on the Battlefront, on the current modern Battlefront, and you know, Frostbite engine would be absolutely fantastic, and that's what a lot of people wanted. But hey, it's all right. It's, you know, it's neither here nor there really to me.
All right, so we'll just keep going with the news. These ones are just more rapid fire. We're not going to spend as long on these ones. So number 5, Frictional Games. They have a weird teaser on their website right now. I think it's nextfrictionalgame.com, I think. And it's like a little embryo that's just slowly over time, it's like kind of morphing and growing into something. So Frictional Games, for those who don't know, they made Amnesia and then Soma and then Penumbra before Amnesia actually as well. So just known for being a really high quality, great horror studio. Soma is supposed to be awesome. I bought it. I never played it.
I mean, I'm 50-50 on Soma. It's good. Really? I haven't finished it, but I've played it a good bit, and it is good. I mean, to be honest, because I didn't finish it, I knew I was never going to, so I looked up the twists and stuff because I wanted to know the story. And I liked Soma. It was good, but it was nothing on Dark Descent. Dark Descent, I mean, I haven't slept properly since Dark Descent, I don't think. You know, Amnesia, what was it, Machine for Pigs, which wasn't as good as Dark Descent, but was also very, very good. And whenever I hear like pigs squealing now, I do have like Vietnam War flashbacks to Amnesia. So I will probably play this. I will keep the lights on because it will ruin my sleep again for a few months. But yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, as you said, very high quality. You know, absolute fan favourites amongst the community. Everyone loves their games.
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
So number 6, The Witcher 3 breaks the 100k concurrent players on Steam for the first time, obviously off the back of the Netflix show's success. There's not really too much to say about that, but yeah, I think they were just under 100k was what the original peak was, something around there. And yeah, they broke 100k. I mean,
we'll bring that up later when we talk about the games we're playing. So I want to talk about The Witcher again, but yeah, good on them, fantastic.
All right, number 7, Dota 2 drops to its lowest player count since January 2014. Have you ever played Dota?
Not interested.
Not interested. Not a
to
MOBA
be honest,
fan?
I was always a League of Legends guy, and that was always the choice. You chose one or the other. And I've played Dota. I enjoyed Dota, but it never stuck with me the same way League of Legends did. So nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's always been that's always been the biggest esport. Really, it's been it's always the biggest prize pools anyway, and that sort of stuff.
It's worth mentioning as well. Actually, sorry to cut across, but their lowest player count number is still like 600,000 players.
Yeah, I mean, we know it's still massive. It's just never quite scratched the itch for me, but. I like it. Good for them. I said I know they got high production values, high quality, and
well, see, they've come out with something like Dota Underlords recently, and that hasn't performed too well. And then they did that card game spin-off, and that failed. What was it, Artifact?
Things they both have, because League of Legends have launched their own sort of chess-based thing as like spin-off as well.
Yeah, League are making a bunch of games in their universe. They're making an FPS and everything.
Yeah. I mean, they got a lot of money. Also, that FPS is really good, by the way. I don't know if you've seen the trailer.
It's awesome.
Totally really like technical stuff at the moment, but it looks interesting. I mean, it looks like Overwatch.
It looks like the early Overwatch stuff when they showed that as well. It's the very same thing. Number 8, on the subject of player counts, Destiny 2's Stadia population has dropped by more than half since launch. I think it was on launch something like 18,000, so pretty low, relatively speaking. Yep. And now it's down to like below 8. The interesting thing to note would be that on the PC, it's dropped by maybe like 5 or 6%, a very minor drop in the players. Whereas obviously on Stadia, it's dropped by over 50%.
Yeah.
So you didn't even know it was on Stadia.
I didn't even know it was on Stadia, but I do play Destiny 2, and I played it,
right.
More or less since it launched.
Well, have you any interest in Stadia? Tell the good people.
I don't really know about Stadia too much, to be honest. I've stayed completely out of Stadia. I haven't really.
Right, so Stadia is basically, for those who don't know, it's like a streaming platform, right, on PC. So the idea, it's run by Google.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
so I know vaguely.
Know what it is, vaguely. So it launched, I think, in November, and it's just seen as like largely kind of a failure. It's obviously a streaming service for high-end PC games, and you have to buy the games through it as well as pay a subscription, and then buy a controller.
I mean, that sounds terrible straight away.
Well, yeah. So
I mean, there's been a few stages. Obviously, I used PlayStation Now for a while. Obviously, that's a budget version of this and still has its own issues. I can't remember what the service is called now, but a good 4 years or so ago, I used a PC streaming service.
On Live?
On Live, exactly. Obviously, that's gone now. That disappeared. But even that was only a subscription, nothing else, and you can play it with all the existing kit, etc. So I appreciate what Stadia trying to do, but I've heard no real positive feedback around it.
Do you think if it was, what would it need to do to get?
Well, I mean, straight away, I mean, just the fact you need its own proprietary controller is a big issue already. I mean, if you make, I don't know the technology, so I don't know if you can make it compatible with an Xbox controller or PC, or whatever it is, because that would more or less anyone who's playing PC games on top of an Xbox has an Xbox controller.
Not me.
Yeah, I mean, that's disgusting. They're so good.
PlayStation.
You're playing Witcher with mouse and keyboard?
No, PlayStation controller.
Okay. Oh,
Steam works with PS4 controllers now.
Yeah, sorry, I'm old school. I know. But so that's already a massive hurdle straight away on top of everything there. And I just, I love the idea of streaming, but I think a lot of people haven't really caught on to that aspect and the possibilities there yet.
Well, I feel like the latency is still always. I feel like video quality and latency is still just kind of an issue. I've been I used PS Now a few months ago just to test it, just to see had it gotten any better, and it was like way better than I thought it was going to be, but still not as good as just playing on my PC.
No, it's not as good.
So it's just for people that maybe don't have a PC. See, their big selling point is you don't need a PC, right? You just have a TV and a controller, and then you're good to go. So I think for people like that, maybe in the future, it will start to catch on. I think it's a slow burn for them, but at the moment, it seems with their pricing model and everything, it seems really, really bad.
I mean, to be honest, at the moment, we're in the endings, the end of the current console life cycle at the moment. Everything else is shortly coming out. Anyone who's really got any interest in gaming, and even if it's not PC, they've got a PlayStation, they've got an Xbox in the living room. People who are really big into PC gaming, they have a gaming PC of one quality or another. Anyone who's a casual gamer has a PS4 or an Xbox, and they're probably not going to go and spend whatever it is and subscription and buying games on a new service.
I agree.
At the end of the day, I think that's probably the problem.
So number 9, Frostpunk is coming to Game Pass.
Excellent.
Don't need to really expand on that any further, but that they've just tweeted it out. They didn't say when. So Frostpunk is awesome. They're actually what?
It's on there already.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I saw yesterday it was on there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I wrote this a couple of days ago, so I guess Wow, that's cool to know. Yeah, they've got a DLC coming out called The Last Autumn in late January, so I guess it's to coincide with that. And then number 10 would be the Lunar Sale is coming to Steam on the 23rd of January, so hold off on purchases until then.
And if you miss it, there'll be a sale again about 3 weeks later.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Steam. There is always a sale.
I mean, for the winter ones especially, like there's... What was it before the winter sale? There's some other event.
Sale, something like that? I can't
it
remember.
might have just been, yeah.
Maybe,
it might have just
I mean,
been
there's a sale every 2 months.
It just seems like around November, December, January, there's a sale every each month for like over a week.
I mean, to be honest, we all know this is Steam. Unless it's a new release, never buy it at full price anyway. Because just stick it on your wish list, get notifications about when the price drops, bang, and you'll be golden. But brilliant.
Pretty much. And speaking of noteworthy releases, so this is where we move on to new releases. And if there's anything like major, that's the kind of games that I kind of hope that we talk about and cover, and maybe we'll have played them. We haven't played any on this particular list.
This is January. Remember, this is.
It is January. Yeah, exactly. So I
Nothing
noticed
is coming out.
I noticed 3 that were like doing pretty well and selling pretty well, and then had decent amounts of reviews, sort of. So one's just called Gemcraft Frostborn Wrath. It's currently got 80% positive on Steam. Only had a couple hundred reviews, so it is a smaller like indie game. It's a tower defense game. It calls itself the Epic Tower Defense Dark Fantasy Journey Continues. Create powerful gems with various abilities and take on the battle against endless flowing army of monsters and face the growing darkness as you fight your way towards the Spirit Forge. Then there's Monster Hunter World Iceborne, which is a DLC. Did you play Monster Hunter?
I did play Monster Hunter, and I've heard. I haven't played this DLC, but I've heard very good things about it. To be honest, I've read
Monster Hunter World is Capcom's best-selling game ever.
Yeah, I played about 20 hours of it, I came to, like a lot of people did with this Monster Hunter, because Monster Hunter's been one of these things where it's been massive for a long time amongst its own community. Obviously this one branched out, so I went into it completely blind this time. I enjoyed it, it was good, and to be honest, it just fell by the wayside because there was other stuff there. When this DLC launched and I read the reviews, doing very, very well, I thought, to be honest, I'll probably pick it up again at some point and get stuck, because there's a lot of content there in Monster Hunter.
So this DLC, it says a diverse locale rich with endemic life, numerous monsters that prey on each other and get into turf wars. A new hunting experience making use of the densely packed environment. Monster Hunter World, the game that brought you a new style of hunting action, is about to get even bigger with the new expansion. It's at 40% mixed reviews. So
really, I mean,
3,000 reviews at 40%. I didn't look at why, but that's just what it's at.
The main source I tend to use for PC reviews is Rock Paper Shotgun.
I mean, Steam reviews are sometimes they can be good, but I don't know.
I mean, Metacritic, that's just absolutely pointless. Because I mean, people get 0 stars. Like my favorite character wasn't in this one. 0 stars. Excuse me.
Metacritic's crazy.
It's just awful.
I can't believe at companies people get bonuses and stuff based on Metacritic. Now, not based on the user score, but still just based on what different places.
The thing is, it's so arbitrary. It's like Metacritic. But I said it's the user scores that I still think people online to talk about the user scores of Metacritic, and that just blows my mind because they're so arbitrary.
I like the Steam user scores most of the time, but lately
Steam 10 is generally better.
Lately they've just kind of gone all over the place. With the library update, they let you review from the library, and then with their sales, they gave you tokens or whatever to review. So all games went up to like overwhelmingly positive as people wrote one-word reviews. So it kind of broke the system for a while. So. Really.
But I'm not surprised to hear that, because I said Monster Hunter is they've got a massive community that if you're not part of it, you wouldn't really even think about it. But it's a huge, it's a massive franchise that's been going for 15 years, whatever it's been going for. So I guess they'll probably know a lot more about it. If they're not happy, then that may be something going on behind the scenes.
And then there's this other interesting looking game called The White Door. It's got 96% positive reviews. I think it had about 1,000 reviews. Enter the White Door and discover Rusty Lake's universe in a new game with a unique style. Explore Robert Hill's dreams and help him find his lost memories. Can you survive strict daily routine and bring back color to Robert's life? So I don't really know actually much about that game, but it has a really interesting art style. Yep. And it's, again, just some sort of kind of smaller indie game, I guess, for a January release. But then I found 2 pretty hot releases.
These are spicy.
I want Toby to read for us. Take your time.
Okay, so
enjoy it.
I'm going to read this, am I? So, first, important release of this season is Lust Epidemic. A student of East State University named Brad finds himself stranded at rival college St. Dame University during a hurricane that unexpectedly changed course and struck the town. That sounds terrifying. While exploring the ancient and creepy campus grounds, you'll uncover many mysteries and secrets, as well as some sexy fun. That's a very weird sentence. In Lust Epidemic, you will navigate around the campus and find items and clues that will unfold a mystery as you problem solve your way through the game and build your relationships with the women you find yourself trapped with. This is I'm amazed. This is actually.
Have you looked it up on Steam?
I haven't. I haven't looked it up. But
it's insane.
Is this the description that they've written about this game? Oh my god, this is terrifying. This sounds like a 5-year-old has written it.
You'll uncover many mysteries and secrets. ... As well as some sexy fun.
It sounds a bit creepy.
So if you look at the screenshots for this, if I could paint a picture, it's hardcore hardcore.
Really?
I can't even
Oh my
describe it.
God.
It's too bad. But it's
Oh
like
God.
just fucking.
I never understand. I never
actually got
understand these
pretty
games.
good graphics. I'll
I
give it
never
that.
understand the people who are buying these games. Like
Dude.
they are ridiculous.
I don't even. Yeah, it doesn't. From the screenshots, it's hard to tell what you do in the game, other than just.
I can imagine what you do in this game. I can imagine what you do. Oh, this
But
sounds.
anyway, yeah, so everyone should go
absolutely
check
terrible.
that one out. Lust Epidemic.
Lust. I mean, okay. So the
Positive reviews.
I mean, yeah. So all I can say
The
is
customers are happy. They're
yeah,
satisfied.
They know their fan base.
Yeah.
They're fair enough. Fair play to them. So I mean, the title for this second one is probably the best title of any game, and I'm amazed we should have released a game with this. So the title for this game is Hentai Nazi. So I think that sets the tone really for what to expect from this particular title. So as they have described themselves as Hentai Nazi, it's not just for you. If
This doesn't make any sense.
doesn't make
This whole
sense.
paragraph just makes no
It
sense.
smells like a groin. It's an unusual shooter, but to be honest, it's just a MEM Game of the Year. Love memes? Do you like it? There's no punctuation in this. Do you like Easter eggs? Do you like various jokes? Oh yeah, you love them. Then you just have to go and hentai Nazi and find everything. I repeat, everything! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Memes, jokes, and Easter eggs.
What a disaster of a writer.
Well, but it's got
But
93%. It's got
yeah,
93%.
over 1,000 reviews.
That is mental.
So it's just from looking at screenshots, it's like some sort of multiplayer shooter arena game where you can play as like a priest
hentai
Hitler
Nazi.
and hentai Nazis
Well,
that fight him as well.
Yeah. This
I mean,
sounds.
there's
This,
1,000, satisfied customers here
Yeah.
as well, and you can download the optional DLC
Yeah.
to get everyone naked. If
so I
you
mean,
want.
to be honest, this sounds like a DLC for Wolfenstein. That's what that's how this. This sounds like a DLC for Wolfenstein. That's kind of how it works. For me.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
But yeah, they also have that.
Well, I
option.
mean, I think obviously everyone's going to be picking both of those up based on our.
Would you pick up the optional DLC to remove all clothing?
Oh, I don't. I didn't know if that came as standard. I mean, I don't know how much that cost, Darren, but I'm not buying it without the DLC. I'm waiting for the GOTY edition, to be honest. I think that's probably gonna.
And people complain about Total War's blood packs.
Yeah. I mean, there's a blood pack in this too. You just don't want to see it.
Oh god.
I'm sorry.
All right, so that's pretty much it for the new releases. Like we said, it's January. It's a bit light on the releases, but I love going through some of the crazy ones that come out. I mean, I just couldn't. It was on the top selling, so I
Yeah.
had to bring it up.
I mean, I never look at the top sellings. There's always some weird stuff on there. It's a weird list.
It's a different culture.
It's a whole different group.
So I thought we'd just talk about it briefly now
absolutely.
for what we've been playing. Just let me check the. That's gone off.
No,
I'm
but it's fine. Yeah,
sure
it's
we're fine.
These are still ticking. That's just the screen.
All right, we're back. Toby just needed a bathroom break. It's gotten a bit hot down below, a little
After
sweaty
those
down
hentai
below.
Nazis,
After
I was
that.
getting a little bit excited.
All right, so I thought we could move on to now what we've been playing. So we've both been playing Witcher 3, so we could lead off there. I've been
Absolutely.
playing it to stream it. People asked me to stream it, and then over the Christmas break, I thought it'd be good just to just randomly basically play that game. I actually haven't watched the series, the TV show, so
You haven't seen it?
nope.
Oh,
So
come
I
on.
thought it'd be best to play the game and then watch it. It just seemed to make more sense to do that.
No, well, to be honest, probably the opposite because
Oh really?
The Witcher 3 is set considerably after Witcher 1. The Witcher the TV show in the series.
Oh,
and
okay.
everything. So although it's not, I've played the second one as well, and I've dabbled in the first one, so I know the story fairly well. But so although it's not completely linear, and the TV show has interwoven a few different stories just to make it into a TV show, it's still more or less. We are still, generally speaking, way in the TV show. Sorry, way behind The Witcher 3. We're way
Right.
before that's happened. At the moment. So to be honest, from a story perspective, you'd actually be better off watching the show first. But it makes very little difference.
So did you jump into the game then just recently to?
I did. No, well, I finished the game before anyway. I finished the game 2 years ago. I've actually finished it. I finished it on PC when it came out. Was it 4.5 years ago? 5 years ago?
Yeah.
I've did another 50% on PS4 a few years ago as well. And now, but I watched the show,
Damn.
in a weekend.
Hardcore.
And now I've
Played it again.
powering through it all again. And to be honest, I think this time I'm actually enjoying it the most I've ever enjoyed it.
Really?
Out of everything. Yeah, I think I've had the best experience this time than I had before.
Yeah, so I played it 3 years ago as well, but I only played it for 10 hours. Again, it was at Christmas I went home to play, and then I played it for about 10 hours, and then I went back to England, and I just never played it, continued playing again. And I kind of got bored of it, I'll be honest.
Fair enough.
When
No,
I
I think I did as well.
When I first started
did
it. Because I remember, I think I unchecked all the question marks I could in the very first area, which is White Orchard, and then we went to Velen.
Yeah, Velen. Yeah.
Then going to Velen, I was just like, oh, there's like 1,000 more check marks, and I was like, yeah, I think I've seen enough.
Yeah.
So that's just what I did at the time.
No, fair enough.
But having streamed it,
understand that.
I don't know if it's because I have people helping me through or just engaging with me in between as well. I am enjoying it like way more.
Yeah.
I can definitely see obviously why it's such a popular game. Now, in hindsight, I have played this after I just played God of War a little bit. I think God of War is the better RPG. If I'm gonna be real, I think though the stories and characters are more interesting in The Witcher, but I much prefer the gameplay, at least in God of War, because right now it seems like I don't know, it's just all sword fights, which I mean,
completely honest, I wouldn't put the two. I wouldn't compare the two at all. Not that they're not in the same ballpark. I just don't really put them as rivals, if you know what I mean. I think God of War is absolutely fantastic, and I love The Witcher 3 as well. I think they're both brilliant. But the God of War feels much more like an action RPG to me, while The Witcher feels, there's no decision making in God of War. It's not really an RPG. It's an it's a well, I don't know what you call it. It's some sort of third person action game, and I absolutely love it. And you do feel like although there are no decisions made, you do feel like you are playing as Kratos by the end of it, because you get sucked in. Unlike Witcher, which is thick with decisions. I mean, the world is completely variable. I think that's one of the things.
That's a great point.
Why I've enjoyed it so much more this time, because I watched the series and I started watching random YouTube bits about it and all this sort of stuff, and I thought a lot of people suggested the more you sort of fall into the game, as in you think okay, I am this person, really like more hardcore RPG, the much more you'll enjoy it. And the things the first time I played it, I viewed it as like almost any other open world game. As you said, I'd see 1,000 check marks. I go, oh my god, I need to go and do this one, I'll do that one, I'll do this one. Even though it's not really like that. It's much more of an intricate, engaged world, and the world changes around you. Things happen. You'll complete a what seems like an arbitrary thing now, and you'll get no, because the whole point of The Witcher, there's no good and bad decisions. Right. Everything is grey, and that's the big point of what he says all the time, and he says in the show as well. It's about the lesser of evils. So a lot of the time you make a decision, that seems completely grey, leaves you feeling a bit, there's not like, oh, I've made the good choice or the bad choice. You'll get almost no feedback as to your decision apart from something happens, but it will never be like, but then an hour later, 5 hours later, a character from that thing will pop up and say, oh yeah, this happened because of what you did, or this has happened because of that, and there are dependencies that happen based on your decisions. I think the more and more those stack up, and the more you play it in one go, it becomes stronger and stronger. But yeah, also I've played it through twice now, and I'm on my third time through, and you also see how many things change completely based on seemingly small decisions you make now. Stuff, I couldn't remember the choices I made last time in a conversation, something different, and the whole thing changes completely. I mean, the whole sorts of different things happen. I think it's absolutely fascinating. I
think the longer I've gone, I stuck with it, the more I've enjoyed it. So I think I shouldn't have just fallen off that first time.
You also don't make the mistake of thinking you've got to complete every quest and all this sort of stuff.
That's the thing. I'm blowing past it.
I mean, it even does it after, I think after 3 or 4 levels difference between you and a quest, which you'll get to very quickly just by doing the odd quest here, it gives you no experience from completing a quest anyway. So you don't never need to worry about it. Just do whatever sounds interesting. I wouldn't worry at all about 100%ing everything. It's it'd take a long time. But also, I think a lot of people tend to often, do the opposite of you and just focus on the main quests and blow through them. Well, I think actually, to be honest, a lot of the side quests are actually better written than some of the main quests. And some of the arbitrary side quests.
That's the good thing with having the chat. They're like, we know this quest, go do that one. They really like that one. And I asked them not to spoil, obviously, which they don't. So that's really helps. So they're basically guiding me and directing me into the best content.
Absolutely.
Which definitely makes it really interesting. But the thing I like the most about it is just like the lore and the stories, and then reading the glossary and the bestiary and seeing all the different types of like monsters that come up, and I think it was one of the Baron's quests where he had.
He's one of my favorite characters. He's one of my favorite arcs, to be honest.
People really love that.
The Red Baron.
I loved it at the beginning, and then I just kind of stopped caring.
Have you met him? Have you completed his arc? Have you completed his arc?
I think so, yeah. With the 3 crones and all that.
Okay.
And he gets his wife back. And spoilers.
So I was going to say that's one of about 4 different things that can happen.
Oh, right.
I mean.
No, people have told me that. They're interested to see what choices I made. But it was when they asked. See, the thing was like, oh, do you want to go back to the swamp and find his wife? And I was like, no. And everyone was like, what the hell? Like, you have to complete the quest, or you want to finish off his arc. And I was like, oh, I felt like I was done, to be honest. But, and he's a guy that beats his wife or whatever, so it wasn't like terribly.
That's the whole, once again, that's the whole thing. It's all completely grey.
Well,
There's
that's
no
what they were
good
saying.
Or bad.
They were like, oh, he beats his wife, but he
here.
feels bad and stuff. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Still beats his wife.
That's the thing. It's funny. Remember,
but that's just how I interpreted it, I guess.
This is a medieval
I felt
world.
bad for him about his child, and then it was like turned into a botchling, and that's the whole kind of lore was so interesting. And then like I wanted to help him there, but then I was like, I've kind of gotten what I need to know now, because I always feel like I'm playing as Geralt. I care about Ciri. I don't really care about the Baron's wife necessarily. I've done what I need to do to get the information to know where Siri is to progress.
But I mean, to be honest, that's also a perfectly valid way of playing it. You don't have to go and do anything, and you can RPG it as you don't really care about that sort of stuff at all, because really Geralt doesn't care. His point is he does it for stuff, but
that's how I felt.
Yeah, and he doesn't really care. That's kind of us that he's a good guy-ish, but if the bad choice is paying more money, generally he'll take the bad. He'll do the bad choice unless it's horrendous. But yeah, I think there's so much that you've literally, if you just sort of after the Baron stuff,
Well, I think I'm at the point where I went to Novigrad and then I'm supposed to go to Skellig. I haven't gone there yet.
Okay.
So that's where I left
so you're about like level 17, 18, 19, 20 around that. Basically, where you go to Skellig. But yeah, so that's you've barely scratched the surface of the story, the story and everything. Yet there's so much to do.
Are you a loot hunter when you play the game? Do you look for the best armor and stuff like that?
I didn't the first time. I didn't care at all. And but now, I think some of the most interesting bits are the Witcher gear quest. I don't know if you've done it.
Yeah, people keep telling me to
the
look for
Viper
that.
School and the Griffin School and all those. Those are interesting because they're upgradable bits of gear. But gear in The Witcher is not a big deal, to be honest. It's all as long as if you're playing on a regularish difficulty, it's very very minimal. The games, the games.
That's how I felt,
and you don't need to.
Most people seem to care about how it looks more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I change much more based on how it looks. And there's a thing. There's so many good storylines, and you get so many good legendary swords that look cool and have great stories that I always read about people. You don't want, and oftentimes they're side grades. You just don't want to throw them away because there's such cool stories attached to them. Like, I spent 45 minutes in this amazing quest here with all this sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean that's I think for me it's one of the best games ever made. I absolutely love it. I think the more you play it, the more the more you enjoy it. And that's not even touching on the DLCs, which are absolutely huge and expensive.
Yeah, so people are telling me to get them as well. I mean, I'll probably get them when I beat the game.
I mean, to be honest, if you find yourself dropping off the game, I would recommend you can also do it as well, where you just start the DLCs fresh, and it makes you a pre-made character at that level.
Oh right.
So if you get bored of the base game, but like, I want to experience a bit of the DLC, you can jump straight into it. And I'd highly recommend doing that if you got to that point. You can just jump into it because DLCs are fantastic as well.
So we're gonna look at a couple other games. You've been playing Total War Warhammer. I'm interested to hear what you.
Quite a lot after the
playing that Shadow and Blade DLC.
After Shadow and Blade, yeah, which I really liked. It's something different, although Malice Darkblade is a really shit lord to play with. He's completely terrible because it's just his mechanics are kind of ruin you in the long run. You've got to I don't know if you played it or no.
I don't know.
So he's a wandering Dark Elf Lord who he's down in not Lustria, the other continent, I can't remember.
No, he's southeast, isn't he? In Mortal Empires? Or did you play him in the Vortex?
I played him in the Vortex.
Oh right, yeah. I don't know where he is in that one.
So he's down in the very very south.
Why did you play Vortex? Most people always say to play the other one.
Yeah, I know, but I couldn't be bothered to be honest. And I started playing him. I started playing him on Vortex before I realised how significantly the timing, the improvements was, and then I played Mortal Empire since then.
Right.
But
anyway, go on. Yeah.
But yeah, so he's really fun to play with. He's obviously his point is he's possessed. He starts off with his a black arc and his full army in the very very southeast corner of the map. But
Southwest.
he's also southeast.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. No, southeast, definitely. Southeast corner.
Okay, yeah, that's what I would have thought, because that's where he's in Mortal Empires. But I thought you said the other way around at the beginning.
I might be getting confused. But basically, he's at the south of the map. He's miles away. And he's also still has a completely unprotected city up where the Dark Elves start as well, where Malekith and all those guys are up in the
Naggaroth.
Naggaroth, literally below Naggaroth.
Yeah.
So you've got that there, it's undefended, and you can choose very early in the game to either sack that and just become a fully arc, or vice versa and keep it, which I did. But yeah, so he's got some really interesting stuff where he's basically possessed, and halfway through battles and things like that, he can turn into a demon, all this sort of stuff, and various other cool mechanics there. But his campaign mechanics are sort of very arbitrary. You're constantly ticking up into like a state of demonhood, as it were, which has huge public order penalties. It gives you like -10 public order, like -20% replenishment across everything. You can't stop it ticking up really without him sitting in a garrison. And then arbitrarily, you've got to continually every 15 turns, whatever, you've got to pay basically a fee to Malekith of like 20,000 gold to stop yourself becoming a demon. Some very convoluted mechanics.
What happens if you do become a demon?
Pardon?
What happens if you
nothing, and it's fine, but then you get such severe penalties at some point. You have to, if you want to do any sort of empire building at all, you have to pay the money to reset it basically. So yeah, it has really good battlefield bonuses, but it can ruin you can't. It's not viable for a campaign. So he does that sort of stuff, and so it makes the campaigns very convoluted. He's always fun to play as in battles. I'm not the biggest fan of him in campaign.
What about Snick.
So I've played a bit of him. I didn't play less because, to be honest, I'm
Not a fan of Skaven.
I am about Skaven. I'm all about Icket Claw. To be honest, I love my Icket Claw because he's just an absolute lunatic. I love that.
But is he the one that can blow people up?
He's the one that has warp. What they call walk noops, whatever they are that blow stuff up. He's the one that does all this sort of stuff. He's got the best artillery, he's got the best units. He's just the most fun because he's an absolute lunatic as well, and I quite like that in the character. And then was it what's the guy's name?
Snick.
Yeah. So yeah, he's fun. He looks cool. He's got his tail dagger and stuff like that. And he's pretty awesome, but I just didn't grab me quite as much as Claw did.
So favorite race in Warhammer?
Oh, that's
Total War Warhammer.
I understand how it works.
Well, just in case you were going to say like Ogre Kingdoms, but they're not in there yet.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know the lore particularly on Warhammer anyway. Probably Skaven.
Yeah.
Skaven or dwarves, to be honest. I really like dwarves as well. Dwarves are
Same
awesome.
here.
Dwarves are absolutely awesome.
I hate Skaven, but I love dwarves. I like vampire counts. They're my favorite.
Yeah, vampire counts are cool. But I used to hate Skaven until I realised for some reason they've got the best artillery and the best of a bunch of other stuff as well, and their characters are hilarious.
And you like dwarves, yeah? You like artillery heavy factions.
I do like artillery, and that's vampire counts are probably my third as well because I really like them too. Just a doom stack of Necrofex Colossus and just walk over the whole game.
That's Tomb Kings.
No, Necrofex Colossus. No, sorry, I'm thinking of
Terrorgeist?
No, you know the giant. No, they are Necrofex Colossus.
That's the Tomb Kings.
No, what are the?
Are you talking the Tomb Kings as in
no, I'm
the
talking
desert
about
skeletons?
I'm talking about Vampire Coasts, the giant.
Oh, Vampire Coast.
Yeah,
Sorry, I thought you
Vampire
meant
Coast.
Vampire Counts.
No,
I said Vampire Counts.
Vampire, yeah. Oh, Vampire Counts. Oh, sorry, Vampire Counts are cool as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
Vampire Coast do have the exactly.
But
right.
Vampire
the
Counts
guy with the
cool
walking cannon arm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those
Yeah.
which are just unbeatable. They're the best doom stack in the game by miles. All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like Vampire Counts too. They're alright, but they're just.
I know they're pretty standard. And they haven't been like overhauled or whatever, but I still love them.
They're cool. I mean, they've had loads of changes though. In the last packs, they had a bunch of changes. They had Helmut Gorst from the Vampire. He got buffed and changed completely, and a few other bits and stuff. They've had some changes. They've had some units and all sorts of stuff going on.
Other games that I've been playing: Escape from Tarkov.
Yep.
You played that a lot. We tried to get you to play.
Yeah,
that a while ago.
So I don't really play it too much, but
pretty
I do.
Hardcore.
Yeah, I watch it streams on quite a lot on Twitch because I do find it interesting. Other people playing it.
Yeah. So lately, it's had that massive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Massive bump on Twitch because they've integrated it with the Twitch loot or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yep.
You can watch streams basically, and you could get items in game if you watch people who are streaming it. Really good move. Turned out a bunch of streamers then jumped on the bandwagon for that, and they got tons of exposure. And then loads of people bought the game. The servers are overloaded. Really great. I'm happy for them. And they just came out with a new patch just before that. And that new patch, since you've probably played, added something called the hideout. So there's this like side compartment of your menu basically where you can now. I'm only just started to do it last night. You can invest money and items that you find. So basically, in Escape from Tarkov, just to establish it for people who may not know, because a lot of people don't know about it because it's not on Steam. Essentially, what it is, it's there's a big open map, and you go in, and whatever you take in. It's just a loud car outside. There's a big map, and when you go in, whatever you take in, you get to keep as long as you get out, and whatever you find, you keep as long as you get out. It's an extraction game. You come across AI and players, so it's PvP and PvE. You don't have to kill any players. You don't have to kill any AI. If you can just avoid them, you can get stuff and get out if you want. But obviously, the best loot is on other players. Typically, you want to kill them, take it, and get out. And then the way the extractions work is you have a different extraction zone based on where you spawned in. So the idea is that you cross paths with other people who are on the opposite end of the map and so on and so forth. So that's basically how it works. Now, the metagame of that is what they've really been expanding. Previously, you could loot pretty much everything in the game, such as screws, packs of cigarettes, all this like random stuff that you don't really need. But now they developed a hideout. So in your menu, you can basically say like, oh, I've got like 20 screws, I've got 20 bolts or whatever. I can put together like a generator because that's how that works. And if you have a fuel canister,
you can engineering.
You can basically power it, and then you can actually craft items as long as your place is powered. And it's really MMO-like in a way, because it could take like 2 hours to craft something. It's not just instant. And you have to leave your generator running, and it consumes the oil or the fuel. So you have to like, it's really weird because you can't just, I was tempted to do it before I went to bed because I just unlocked it. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be up in 2 hours to turn this generator off. So it's really weird the way they've done it, but that's the way it is. And it's cool. And then you can pay more to upgrade those things even further, reduce their consumption. And
so what benefit does that generator thing have to you?
Along with the generator, so for instance, I have a med station and I can make my own meds. So if you find stuff like painkillers, bandages, clothes, wraps and things like that, you can then come out with like a Salua kit, which is like a medical pack that's bundled into one that you can use multiple times. So stuff like that. So, but you need to have your med station powered in order to do the crafting. So what you have to do is build your generator. That's the first thing you kind of have to set up.
Yeah.
And then find fuel. I was lucky enough to find like a load of fuel, and it's super valuable. It's like 80,000 just for one fuel. And that comes with 60 units of fuel, and it takes about 1 unit for every like 30 minutes or so. So I left it on, and it crafted that up over 30 minutes. I set a timer on my phone, booted the game back up, and then like turned it off. It's really weird, but it's fun. So the interesting thing though that they also added to the game was a flea market. So now you can actually trade with other players on this really awesome. It's almost like a Steam market like thing built into the game.
Did you remember when Diablo 3 launched and it had the auction house?
Yep, exactly very similar.
That,
you just list whatever price you want. You can actually say like, I'll sell this gun for an item. You can list any item you want as a trade, and multiple items. You can only list 3 things at once though, so you can't just bombard it. And you actually pay to list things, so you also just can't bombard it. But it's really awesome because now for the first time I got to the point where I set up a little crafting station and I had some bits and bobs that I was able to combine into like circuit boards and other things. I'm thinking about like how he's doing this with like a hammer and nail. It comes out with like a very advanced chip. But anyway, so I sold that then. I put it on the market and it sold for like 40,000. And individually the items are only worth 5. So it's just interesting to be able to like get a micro economy up, even just selling and crafting junk, you know. So it's kind of cool side way of playing the game. But those are the 2 major things that they've added. They also added another map and stuff like that. But yeah, so I love the game. You know, it's super hard to learn, super difficult. But I've been playing with Richard, and I played with Sam last night as well, another one of my friends. And it's his first time playing, so I was kind of guiding him through a bit.
Thanks for the invite.
Sorry.
It's literally online all night. I mean, wasn't hidden. Wasn't anything. I was literally online all night. But thank you.
Okay, well I'll invite you next time then. I'll guide you through.
God, that'd be
awful. Guiding 2 absolute noobs through. And I'm not the best myself. But we actually had 2 really great runs we managed to get out.
No, I liked it. I just never really stuck with me. To be honest, it's more because I play a bit of everything. Really, I play kind of too many things. And Tarkov's one of those games where you do have to have a fairly significant time investment to get the skill and stuff up. And I like that's why I like watching it, because I do enjoy it and I think it's a cool game. But I know I'm not going to commit enough time to a game what I view as like a shooter like that to really get the most out of it.
It's crazy as well. It's so much handier when you have a guy or a person to help you guide you through the game. Yeah, because they can just tell you. Because I completely forgot. I was just playing with Sam. He was like, "How do I know where my extractions are?" It's like, you don't.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
You got to look it up online, or if you have another monitor.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's so unuser friendly. New person friendly.
And then he like went to an area and it was, or we went to an area and it was optional. So it might be online, it might not. Yeah. So we went down. And I was like, oh yeah. It's not working. I was supposed to look at like this, usually a smoke grenade or a light or something to let you know that the extraction is open. It wasn't there.
But the thing is, although it's not really one for me. I absolutely love that it's doing well because it shows that a game like that can do well, and it doesn't have to be hold your hand and all this stuff. It can be as because that is it's easily the most brutal, unuser friendly game that exists, and people still love it, and it's becoming massive at the moment. So I love the fact that it's doing well for that reason. That it doesn't have to be that it can be that type of game and it's going to do well.
But yeah, just generally speaking, anyway, it's been sucking me back in, and I keep playing it every couple of days. The other thing, last thing to mention as well, is you can insure items before you go into a match.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And then like it'll come back to you in like a day or two if the person didn't take the item out of the raid. So that's like another reason that it actually does make you kind of force you to log in every other day, because I'm like, oh yeah, I wonder if I got any items back if I died and stuff like that. And it's such a burn, and I really don't like it when you do log in, you miss the guy, because it's he's there for 24 hours. And he's like, if you log in, like, let's say I didn't play it for a day or 2 days or whatever. I went to Ireland recently for a wedding, came back, guy was like, sorry, mate, you missed me or whatever. I sold your guns. It's like, what? What? But it was so annoying because it's like, oh, so you got my weapons and you sold them.
Developers just do not care. I still like this. Yeah. Not bothered, which I respect. But mate.
Super fun game though.
What else I'm playing? So on that, I've been playing Rainbow Six, back in Rainbow Six Siege again. That's my love. I played it. Probably
peak simulator.
Yeah, literally peak simulator. I probably put 1,500 hours, 1,000 hours into that on
seriously.
No, on PS4. I was going to say in PS4. Okay. Years, that was my main shooter game with all my mates on PS4 for years, for the last 3-4 years. Fell out of it again. Recently bought it for like £5 in a Steam sale, whatever it was, a few weeks ago, and I've fallen absolutely in love with it again. I think it's by far the best multiplayer shooter there is on the market. The depth, the quality of everything. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
I think you told me recently. Like, I've said I'd like to play it again. It's just that I always feel like I don't know the maps, right? And I feel like that's like the main one of the biggest things, right? Is knowing how to play and knowing the map.
But
you were saying that there's you can play against people your skill level.
There is, There's a newcomer.
I didn't think of that.
There's a newcomer mode. The first thing you have on there. Well, firstly, it puts you into training, which isn't the best training in the world, but it helps. It has offline training modes, but it has the first playlist you get access to is the newcomer playlist, which you can only play if you're under a certain level.
Yeah.
So although some people on there, like myself, I'm in that playlist at the moment because even though I played 1500 hours on PS4, the majority of people in that playlist are newer.
Yeah.
And absolutely, if you don't know the maps, it becomes a lot harder, but to be honest, I think that's kind of the best way to learn because it's a team-orientated game. There is no, if you go solo, of course you can do very well, but generally speaking, you all have your different pros and strengths. Strengths and weaknesses as operators, and you operate best as a team. So your best bet is sticking with the people around you, just following wherever they're going. Follow them. You'll learn the maps just by being on them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think you'll pick up the better way to play the game that way anyway. But I think that's, for my money, that is the shoot that drags me back in. I mean, they keep seeing these huge boosts in player numbers. Everyone said that game was dead years ago, and now it's back. With massive player numbers. It's so popular. I think it's fantastic.
Last one would be, then you said you were playing Outer Worlds.
Yeah, Outer Wilds, not Outer Worlds.
Oh,
Outer Wilds.
That's the big problem with that game is everyone, apparently so anyways, that like people always confuse the two, and that one is just getting lost in the weeds. I've heard it's actually super good.
No, so Outer Worlds came out 6 months for Outer Worlds at least.
Yeah, but I still just, I mean, that's just what I've
Outer
heard
Worlds
anecdotally.
Unlike any game I've ever played in my whole life, and I think you would love it. You'd finish it in 5 to 10 hours, depending on your skill. It might take you a bit longer. You might do it quicker, actually, to be honest, because literally, but it is so hard to describe. It's unlike anything else. I'm sure a lot of people listening will have at least heard of it or come across it. Because it's.
I actually don't know what it is.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, without it's hard to spoil anything like that. But basically, without it, you wake up as a person. You're not quite a person, but you're a different alien race. But you're basically a person on a planet in a fully fleshed out solar system with 7 different planets, and basically what happens is you'll find this out in the first 20 minutes. It's not a spoiler. You'll find out that first time you die, you go on a big loop. Everything refreshes. You wake up again like nothing happened. No one else is aware. You're aware. You've got your same memories.
Yeah.
No one around you knows. And obviously your job is then exploring. But obviously that is the essence of the game, but that it doesn't do it justice at all, because what you find is, I said, it's a solar system with the most interesting planets ever completely fleshed out. Like, for example, I said once again, you'll see all this stuff. It's not really spoilers, but one of the sets of planets is 2 planets that are rotating around the solar system together. Like they're called the twins. One of them is a big sand desert planet. The other one's a big rocky planet. The gravity of the rocky planet is stronger, so it's consistently pulling sand off the other planet. And although in most games that would just be a visual thing or whatever, in this game it is a physical thing. If you're walking around the rocky planet and you're in an underground chamber, you will see the sand level rising gradually over the course of your lifespan. And on the opposite to that, over on the sand twin, you will see more and more structures being uncovered as the sand level goes down.
Oh, right.
So everything is there's a lot. And another one, probably the first planet you'll go to, is a planet that once looks completely normal from the outside. Once you go underground, there's a black hole at the center of this planet, sucking bits of the planet in. So if you go, each time cycle is about 20 minutes long. So if you go there,
I feel like a black hole would destroy the planet.
Well, it's not quite a black hole, but it's that sort of thing.
Okay,
and it is destroying the planet.
Okay,
if you go there in the first minute, the whole planet's basically intact. Everything there is underground. It's all there. To go there in minute 20, there's almost no crust left. The planet's essentially being pulled in piece by piece to the black hole. So there's some things you literally questions you cannot answer if you don't go at the right time, if you don't go early enough.
Yeah.
Because that bit of information has been lost in the black hole.
Well, that seems the same then as the sand and rocky planet, right? So it's like depending on which one you go to first.
Yeah. So there's whole areas in the rocky planet and vice versa that you cannot get to, and that's a big part of it. So, but I mean, I probably couldn't. I recommend that game over almost anything else, because it's a fairly short time. You don't have to put a massive time investment. You can literally play in 20-minute segments, and
what's the gameplay? FPS?
Yes, gameplay. It's first person, but there's no shooting or anything. There's no combat, and it's all exploration.
All right.
Ship mechanics, boosting around, that sort of stuff. It's exploration, but that just doesn't cover it. But what's good about it is because it's 20-minute life cycles. Which you die after 20 minutes, everything resets. The good thing is you can literally play the game, and every single 20 minutes you will get something new out of it, and you will you'll never play 20 minutes and go like, I didn't learn anything that time. You'll learn something new every single time. You can play it. You play it 20 minutes a day. It would take you a little longer, but you would have a great time every single time you do it. And I don't think I've ever played a game that has honestly made jaw-dropping moments like that game has, when you land on something and go, oh my god, look what they've done here.
Sounds awesome.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Because I love like No Man's Sky, for instance.
Yeah.
And Space.
Yeah.
And Outer Worlds was
so
cool.
this is like all the best bits of No Man's Sky,
but like a custom planet, like a crafted planet.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the crafted planets that are all so intricate, full of stuff to explore and full of stuff to find, but with all the flying type mechanics of like No Man's Sky. It's absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Sounds good. We were going to do questions, comments, topics, but I didn't actually put out the call for questions with enough time for this first episode. But in future, you know, what I'd like to be able to do actually is, like, for instance, if anyone wrote in or asked about, let's say, the Alienware hardware thing that we talked about at the beginning, or Escape from Tarkov, saying that certain thing, like, we could actually intersperse their questions throughout the stories and say, like, just, you know, Escape from Tarkov Dev says X, Y, and Z, and John has to say blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
What do you think of this, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, feed in the questions as the stories happen. And then at the end, if there's anything we didn't get to that are still kind of relevant to talk about, we can answer them there. But I've got a question for you. What do you think about, a lot of people always ask me this, and it's just generally about the Epic Games Store in buying exclusive games out of Steam. So for instance, Anno 1800 was a game that was listed on Steam. It was up for pre-order. It had some pre-orders. And then Epic, I guess, bought the rights to it for a year. And then it got removed off Steam. But people who bought it can still play it there. But everyone else can't. And now it's on Epic. Thoughts?
So, I've got nothing against it per se. I mean, it's free market. They can buy stuff. If Steam want to sell it, then or if the developers, would rather sell it to them, which they do because they're cheaper, aren't they, than Steam, or take a smaller cut than Steam, whatever it does. Fair enough. Although obviously, as a consumer, it's an absolute pain in the arse. It splits the community. I like to use Steam wherever possible, but these days, I've got to have, I've got my Origin launcher half the time. I've got my Epic Store launcher. I've got my Microsoft Game Pass launcher. I've got Steam. I've got
Who could forget Uplay?
Yeah, Uplay. Yeah, exactly. Uplay now all the time because Rainbow Six runs off Uplay even via Steam. I've got my GOG Good Old Games launcher as well. I've got so many launchers. It's absolutely insane considering a few years ago, 99% of everything was on Steam. And although obviously, that's kind of understandable, Steam had a massive monopoly that was never going to last for a long time. It's just, it is an absolute pain in the ass.
Have you bought any games on Epic?
Yeah, I use Epic as well. But to be honest, mate,
Scum.
I bought. I can't remember. For example, a good example. So I wanted the Outer World, not the Outer Wilds. Outer Worlds, the Fallout style Obsidian game. That was Epic Store exclusive, and that's
Xbox Game Pass though. I got it on that.
Actually, you're right. Yes, sorry, you're absolutely right. Actually, that's where I played that on.
Yeah, I got it there.
Epic Games, I've played things like Satisfactory.
Yes.
And that on Epic Games. So and a few other bits like that. Sorry, I can't even remember. There's so many different things at the moment. But
the two feel the same. Those two. Xbox.
They do. Yeah, that's the thing. Those two both feel the exact same.
They look. Yeah, they're just similar in presentation. I always get the two confused.
But I think I actually downloaded it for Satisfactory, and since then I picked up a couple of other things. But still,
Satisfactory is the only game I own on it, which is a great game.
Borderlands 3 as well. That's what I own on that too, because it came out on Epic Store exclusive too, and that was a game I was looking forward to big time. So I had to get that. But obviously, generally speaking, I will always download on Steam whenever I can. But that's more of a misguided sense of.
But you're not an anti. Would you, for instance, dislike the trailers of Anno or a game that was only on Epic?
No, I think that's just ridiculous. I mean,
well, some people do.
Yeah,
I made a video on Satisfactory and I got a lot of hate for it.
Yeah, I know, but I think people people are so used to Steam now. They are Valve fanboys, and I love Valve and I love Steam.
Same here. Like if I could have everything on one, I would agree.
Absolutely.
But I don't understand the vitriol that comes from having to get downloaded.
I can understand that at the end of the day, they are games companies and they're all trying to make money or save money wherever they can. If a company's offering them a better deal, of course they're going to go with that. Going to go with that company. But
yeah, I've kind of just given in because especially with I think the turning point for me was the Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
It was just too good to pass up.
Such a good value.
And
good value.
I started playing Forza and a few other games. I got Hellblade now, Senua's Sacrifice, loads of games, Metro, Exodus.
I got a lot of games on there,
It's like, Jesus, these games are so good.
The value, I mean, there's so many triple A games on there. And not even...
As they release.
Yeah, exactly, as they release. It's just an absolute no-brainer now. There's some great games on there, and I think it's such good value. And obviously, I've got the Origin Pass as well, which I
used to have that until Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. I've still got it because there's still got some stuff I like on there, but I mean that the value on that changes because it's it's a bit more niche. It's just Origin games, but even then, I still think that's a good value. Good value overall. But yeah, the Xbox Game Pass is absolutely fantastic, and we can't recommend it highly enough for anyone really.
And I think that's going to be it. How do you feel it went? You talk very fast.
I do talk very fast. I mean, I can talk slow. I can talk slow. Hello.
But no, I think it was a good first run.
It's all right. Yeah, we did.
Leave us your feedback in the comments on YouTube. So questions, like I said, if people do want to ask questions, they think of something during the week when they see a story, and they even just want to help us out, for early content and stuff like that, just to be part of the show as well. It'd be great to get some questions and comments, concerns, topics written in that can be written on the YouTube comments, and as well on Patreon. There'll be a Patreon post that anybody can write on. You don't have to be a patron, but the idea is that we trap some of you there.
So we are a democracy. So whoever does better in this will take over the Republic of Play channel. So if you like, let's play the averages. So if you liked it, an up vote means you like Darren more. A down vote means you like me more, and I will take it over.
No, please don't downvote it. Don't downvote it. I could put a YouTube poll in the cards. See that?
Yeah, do that. Yeah, do that.
Just don't downvote it.
You are losing your channel, boy.
All right, so thanks very much for joining me today.
Oh, been my pleasure.
And we'll hopefully do this every second week, I hope. We'll see if we can stick to it.
We'll see.
It's really up to Toby.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Bye.